All right, we're back. We are MAPD714 in the fall 2017 semester, week 9, part 2 of our broadcast. We're continuing the painful, very painful navigation view typing. And I've gone ahead and typed out the code that looks like it works. This is the last piece, it looks like, table view. And what this, let me just explain what I've done here. Following the book example, index path.sections equal 0. I have a question during the break. What is this? What does it mean? Why are we checking for index path dot section is equal to 0? And if you think about what's happening here, look what it's doing. It's being coded so that it can modify or the display for different conditions, different scenarios. One scenario is our first UI view is going to show a list of fonts, a bunch of fonts. That means there's not going to be any separate sections, only one big section, right? In fact, there's not going to be a section at all. That's why our section is equal to 0. And it's going to show all your font families. And then when you select your favorites, you're going to go to another subview, another type of controller, right? And in that case, the root controller is going to send over as my favorite fonts. You're going to have multiple sections in there, okay? So that's the scenario that we're dealing with here. And that's why you keep having these conditional statements. So what happens if index path is section is equal to 0? That means that we're just loading the font names list. That's what's happening. And if otherwise, if it's not 0, if it's more than 0, 1 or 2, then it's going to load in the favorites list from our data. Okay, that's what this is doing. Okay, so and that's the conditions that it's dealing with. And that's why it says it keeps checking to see, hey, if our number of rows in section, it's going to return 1 if there is no section. If there's no section at all, it's just the family fonts. Otherwise, it's going to return one row, number of rows in section, 1 row, right? So each section is going to be your favorite. That's what it's going to be. So you're going to create new sections for each of your favorite fonts. That's what's going to happen, right? And then over here, the title for header in section is going to vary depending on which type of scenario you're in. Okay. In this case, the number of sections is going to be only 1 when we're having our favorites list, if the favorite list is empty, right? Or 2 if it's not empty. And we'll talk about 2 because you're going to continue to add more sections. So you're going to have a header, that's 1 section, and then the names of all your favorite fonts. Okay, so that's what this thing does. I'm going to put this up on GitHub. I'm going to say that this is modifying the root view controller. That's what it is. So I haven't finished yet, but I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go to source control. I'm going to do another commit, and I'll say modified the root view controller, right? And I'm going to push this up to GitHub as well. So you don't have to do the typing. You just have to copy and paste from me. You go up on GitHub, find Centennial College, and try and copy paste. Then that way you don't have to do it. Okay. It'd be nice to copy. The reason why I want you to, it's not just you watch me code by looking at the PowerPoint scenario, is you get errors. And I want you to, with me to figure out that, how to fix the errors. And that's what I want you to do. Because next week, when we get together for our little coding example or coding assignment, there's not going to be this. You're not going to have this. I'm going to say, do this. And then you're going to have to try and figure out how to do it with your partner, right? So again, these are just patterns that I'm showing you. All right, cool. So we did that part. And now the next part on page 38 of our PowerPoint is to fix up the storyboard setup, right? Because without the storyboard, we can't see anything. Even now, if I was to run this thing in Xcode, so let's say run it, it's still going to be blank. Build succeeded, but if I run it, and if I pull up this thing, it's just going to be blank again, right? See? Why? Because our root view controller is not connected to our storyboard, right? We never connected it. So we need to do that. We need to wire it up, in fact, okay? So going back to this, notice it says by default, our controllers class is set to UI table view controller, but we've deleted it. So we need to change this, to this root view controller. And we're going to go to the fonts icon inside the document outline. So in our font scene. So if I go back to show you what that is, if I look at the document outline, right? So we're going to go to our main storyboard. The document outline comes up on the left, and there's a font icon, this font icon right here. And on the right, we're going to have this not this attributes inspector, but this one, the identity inspector. Inside the identity inspector, notice that there's no class, right? There is no UI table view controller. And we're going to pull down root view controller. That's where it is. Okay. Now that might seem trivial to do that. But that's the first part. Now, it's not done yet. Remember we talked about this idea of prototype cells, right? And each of the cells in your table view is actually, you can customize it, right? And we have one of them, right? But we need another one because there might be two sections, okay? So what do I mean by that? So if you look inside your font scene, right? Inside the table view, there's a table view cell, right? I want to duplicate this. Notice it says prototype cells on the right. Let's see if I can zoom in here so you can see it. I know it's not kind of clear because you can't see this. So there's prototype cells on the right, and you see there's one over here. We need to duplicate it with Command D. But notice it pulls it way over here. That's not where it should be. It should be in here, right? In the table view, right there. There's two cells now, one here and one there. Notice that? If you don't do that, then it will not work for you. Okay, cool. So we've done this and just getting some more space over here. I'm going to pull up the other inspector over on this side, right? And for each prototype cell, like if I look at the first one, if I see it's clicked on the side, if I go to this piece over here, you notice there's some different parts, different options here. The first style that we want is subtitle. So please change that to subtitle, the first one. Okay. And it also gives us instructions on making the identifier. Identifier is like a variable name. We're going to call this family name. That's the identifier. So family, please no spaces, capital F, capital N. And the accessory name is going to be a disclosure indicator. That's the accessory. So accessory is disclosure indicator. This is going to give us that little arrow. See that little arrow right here? That's what it gives us right now, right? That's the accessory icon, disclosure indicator. Okay, family name. Okay, for the next one, the second prototype cell, we're going to click onto it. And we're going to say, instead of style custom, we're going to say style basic. Okay, and in the selection, right, sorry, in the accessory name, we're going to also do a disclosure indicator. So both are disclosure indicators here, right? Disclosure indicator. Disclosure indicator, right? And then we're going to double click the title in the cell to change the name to favorites. So double click the title in the cell, and we'll change the name to Canadian favorites. There we go. So those are our prototype cells. We have two. One for when we have a title, and this is how we're going to customize the look and feel of our first table. And now, if we run it, we should see this. Now, there's a chance, just disclaimer, that it may not work, and we have to do some troubleshooting. All right? So let's just go and try it, see what happens. Yay! This is what you should see too. All right? If you don't, check your code with mine. Go up on GitHub, check it out. Make sure that it doesn't work. Now, here's something. If I check these ones, there's nothing to do, right? I can't transition from here to anything else because there isn't any code for that yet. That's going to be your job, right? Your job is to finish the rest of the application after this, right? And that's why I've given you this task to do, okay? So notice that's what this thing does. It just shows us all the fonts. Now, just to let you know, my font list is going to be different than your font list, chances are, because I may have more fonts. I have Adobe fonts loaded in my system and a bunch of other ones that I've loaded in because I've done additional work. You may not have that stuff, right? Some fonts that are in here that may not be part of your fonts, just letting you know. Okay, but this is the list you should get. Does anyone not get this list? You didn't get the list? All right, so please check your code with mine. I'm going to stop this right now. I'm going to stop the simulator. And this is a great place to stop in general. I'm going to go up to the source control here, go commit. And I'm going to say linked root view controller with storyboard. That's what we've just really done right there. And we configured the cells, but we did kind of everything at once. We committed it. I didn't push. I can also push separately just by clicking push, right? And that'll push to master through the origin remote, and that should be good to go. All right, so your job, it's like Mission Impossible. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, hopefully you'll choose to do that. And it's not Mission Impossible because you have the rest of the code here from pages 40 to 65, right? Is to finish off this little application by following the PowerPoint. So we've got you this far. Your main application is working by now. You and a partner work together. I'll put up a little lab up on eCentennial. And at the end, what I want is your completed application uploaded in a zip file. Okay, I'll make it up. Recording now. And this is just for you if you ever wanted to go back and try this out on your own. So this is a we did together, and now this is a you do thing, right? Okay, and if you have problems, I'm going to go around and help you out. All right, so let's just stop this recording, and I'll let you do the rest of the part yourself. So please pair up. That would be your first job. Pair up with somebody else. No more than 2 people. All right, if you can. I think we're evenly paired up. I think. If we're not, we'll make adjustments. Okay.